The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Live tonight from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, LSRTV is happy to be with you to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series, powered by English Auto LLC from Indianapolis Motor Speedway for round number 20 on the 2018 campaign. And if you've been with us for the last couple of Monday nights, you know it is the last race of the regular season. So that is going to be a big storyline, but as well the last race on the Segment 2 title fight. Tons to talk about from the Brickyard, and we are happy that you are joining us on your home for sim racing at iRacing Live. Myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside it with Trevin Valderrama up at the LSR-TV booth. Our producer, Cisco Scarabus, bringing us to you this evening. And Trevin, we do head to the Brickyard tonight, one of the more unique racetracks we're going to be talking about. And we said the same thing just 1 week ago about Darlington, but it rings true, but a very different kind of challenge tonight at the 2.5 mile rectangular shaped oval.
Yeah, it's not like any of the other conventional D-shaped cookie cutter ovals. We have got 4 corners. Now, we say corners all the time, but those are just turns. These are actual corners, and they're very difficult to navigate through after a few laps have gone down on their tires. And this is the last race of Segment 2 before our championship begins. So I'm really excited to see how these drivers are going to push it forward and who's going to win that Segment 2 championship between Dylan Jones and Andrew Freenars. Just 8 points separating them going into this race, Evan.
And Dylan Jones, as the drivers right now are working in the qualifying session, Jones just bested Freenars' time in queue. We'll take a complete look top to bottom when the qualifying session does round to a close. But let's talk about that Segment 2 championship coming into this evening. We have a pretty good idea of the playoff drivers, but you're looking at the standings after 9 races in Segment 2. And Andrew Freenars, with the win a week ago, closes it in to 8 points. Your Segment championship is obviously your driver who earns the most points through races 11 through 20, but the top 3 points paying positions are going to pay out some cash. That $300 purse goes to first, second, and third. So Freenars is trying to catch Jones. That's an 8-point difference, Trevin. But something else we need to keep an eye on tonight is Michael Cozy Jr. also only 6 points out of that final cash paying position in third as he sits behind Bowie. So those are going to be 2 very critical things to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and that's only going to get more exciting as this season wears on. You know, Segment 2 Championship obviously going to end right this after 60 laps are done here, but we still have that overall championship standings to look at. And, you know, Las Vegas coming up in the 2 weeks' time, then Richmond, Charlotte rounding out that first round. So 3 different kinds of tracks that we're going to be going to that's going to just test the skill of every single driver here tonight. We have about 17 drivers here on the grid tonight, so it's going to be one heck of a race here, and I'm really excited to see who can, you know, save these tires and, you know, use them to their advantage and continue to push on throughout this whole entire race without getting into the wall.
And when that Segment 3 does begin in the start of the playoffs in 2 weeks' time, we'll, of course, begin to focus on the overall championship as we work through the playoffs. Also going to be opportunities for us to see maybe some new faces on Monday nights, and maybe if you want to get involved with the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series, we'll have more info on that in the next 2 weeks as that Segment 3 registration window does open. But, of course, the big question tonight is who is going to be your $150 Segment 2 champion, and the likes of Bowie looking real fast right now. So Cozy's got a little bit of a hole to dig out of. It does not look like the 77 is going to take a time at a queue. That's going to put it behind the 8 ball. But one thing I wanted to mention, Trevin, you'd pointed it out, 60 laps tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is a 2.5-mile racetrack, so it does take a good amount of time to get around this place, but we've been talking about it all segment. There is a good chance that this race could break out green. That would really put an emphasis on the drivers who out-qualify some of their competitors.
Yeah, these guys are mostly green or clean racers, so I'm not going to be surprised if there are quite a few green flag runs here tonight. I'm going to be really looking forward to that and seeing how these drivers can handle themselves, because, you know, once green flag runs gets going, we all know that there will be green flag pit stops in full swing here today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So, 150 miles is going to be quite the exciting race here tonight.
And we're happy that you are going to be a part of this one with us. Indy is always a fun stop on this Monday night calendar. And again, with the way the schedule has worked out, and it'll mimic what you will see this upcoming weekend with the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series side of things to close out the regular season. There's a lot of drivers who really like this racetrack. We heard a post-race a week ago when we talked with our top finishers. If you missed those interviews, you can quickly catch up with them on our Twitter feed at LSRTV, that some of them were a little bit iffy about their hopes coming into this one. 8 points between first and second, and 6 points between third and fourth. There's a lot of money to be exchanged between those drivers, and we are set to find out how segment number 2 will draw to a close. So let's go trackside and take a look at our LSRTV starting grid for round number 20. Brandon Bowie is on pole position for this one. It is a big step in the right direction as he looks to hang on to third, if not maybe pick up to position or two at a points if the drivers in front of him have any issues. His 50.102, the best of all, and he will bring us to the green flag alongside the 17 of Michael Guerrilla, who has really had a great middle portion of 2018. Then you'll find at number 11 of Dylan Jones, your segment 2 points leader coming into this evening. He will start third, and it is going to be directly alongside Andrew Fernandez, his challenger, who rolls from fourth. They make up row number 2, and the driver who's going to have a great view of all of that fun, Daniel Eberhard, who starts in fifth. Continuing on through, Sean Casto is in the number 6 position, and you'll also find 7th place David Comstock in a 42 machine. He got a top 3 just a week ago from Darlington. Troy Haight going to be on his outside in position 8. You then look back to row number 5 of the field. It begins to roll. Richard Regan Jr. will start 9th position in this one, and he will be accompanied by the one of Daniel Falkenham outside. The Colby's Paint Chevrolet will start in P10. 11th tonight belongs to the 98. That's Stephen Washington, who made his return to the series just 1 week ago. Looking to get back into form. He starts 11th in this one. Shane Ewing will be 12th. And the final driver to take a time in qualifying, that is the number 48 machine of Tom Morano. So again, final driver in on time. Provisional's going to go to Michael Cozy Jr. He decided to not take that qualifying time, as we suspected, so he'll be 14th. Kyle Kamer is 15th. Brian Chambliss 16th, and Austin Coop smacked the wall in his qualifying effort. He will start 17th position and round out your field here tonight from the Brickyard. Again, this rectangular oval is what they call it, 2.5 miles in length, and 4 identical corners at 9.2 degrees of banking. But as Trevin had pointed out just a little bit ago, at most racetracks, you head into 3 and 4, it's really more so one corner. But at this racetrack, 4 very distinct corners. Obviously, the straightaway, the corner exiting a straightaway, going to be a lot more challenging to get into. You got to slow the car down a lot more compared to, say, where the field is right now coming off of 4, where it's more so easier to get in. And the focus is going to be the runoff of the corners. Look for some big moves, maybe early on, as the field comes 2 by 2 with a quarter number 4. And the pace car gets set to head down to the safety of the pit lane. The field in the hands of number 43 of Brandon Bowie. He's going to close out segment number 2 with the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC. Let's go racing from the Brickyard. Green flag in the air, and it's a good job on the outside as we watch the race to turn 1. inside, going to be the place to be. Brandon Bowie wins out in that fight after Guerrilla was really oh so good immediately out of the gates. The inside, even getting to be the place to be. Looks like throughout the field there, the 11 Dylan Jones will slot through. He'll take third. It's Farinar's fourth, so no changes there. And Daniel Eberhardt also defends his position. So I think if you look all the way back to Troy Hayton to 78 is where there were no changes for position. But Richard Reagan Jr. in the 46 just passed him, and so did Daniel Falkenham. So that little bit of a streak is going to be broken. And David Comstock very slow that time at a 4. This is going to be a long front straightaway for him. The 46 goes on by. The 1's going to go on by. David Washington a little bit more forgiving as lap number 1 from the Brickyard does draw to a close. And now it's the one machine making a mistake. And you're going to see a lot of that this evening again. Because that banking is less than 10 degrees, it is very challenging for these drivers to slow it down from speeds in excess of well over 200 miles an hour. Just watching your race leader Brandon Bowie go down into the corner without any draft, leading this long line of cars. It was doing 203 miles an hour, and you got to slow it down about 50 or so if you want to be able to make it through the quarter. So certainly a challenge that these drivers are going to be dealing with. We talk about the experience level here on Monday nights, and 17 cars in this race. I know last week 16 drivers made the start at Darlington, but the strength of field in that race was over 4,000 when it comes to the average I rating of the drivers involved. So I think these drivers very much seasoned veterans, and they know how to deal with all of this, as we see Michael Cozy Jr. now try to go on the attack. He'll take a spot away from, that looks like Tom Morano in the number 48 machine. A couple more battles, a little bit closer to the front. Look at the 67 of Casto. He tries to get up on the inside of Jones. Not going to happen, but they both do take away a position from Daniel Eberhardt. Lost it on the exit of quarter number 2 just a little bit, and obviously momentum off of the corner critical at any racetrack you go to, but certainly at Indianapolis. When you talk about the length of the straightaways here, you spend a majority of your lap here on those front stretches compared to even the quarters and the short chutes combined, and that little bit of lack of momentum off of the corner is going to be amplified by the thousands of feet it takes for you to get down and into the next quarter. So the change for position there is going to be Dylan Jones. Moves into 4th. The mistake at a 2 for Casto as he nearly smacked the wall. Eberhardt going to dive to his inside and take away P5. So once again, another exchange for position. A lot going on now in the center of the pack, but we have yet to see a battle for the race lead. That might not be true for much longer. Bowie had been about a half a second in front of the rest of the field, but Michael Guerrilla and Andrew Farinars are putting the pressure on. Brandon Bowie again in a position, as we mentioned when we talked about the championship standings, 6 points ahead of Michael Cozy Jr., who runs 11 positions behind him at the racetrack right now for 3rd. And he could still technically make some news. He's 18 points behind Farinars for 2nd. So if there were to be an issue out of the 88, the 43 certainly does have something to fight for, but I think his concern tonight is more so a defense of 3rd. So he's in the money for the Segment 2 championship as opposed to, really trying to make some move and go forwards. Issues, though, the 32 is Shane Ewing is slow on the back straightaway, and that is a single car accident for the driver that was scored in P12. We're going to look at the LSRTV replay, and we barely saw that one out of the quarter of the shot on the front straightaway there as he got into the inside wall. He did not tag the outside wall. Cars have looked very tight, but he was very loose trying to keep the Rayovac Ford out of the wall, and in doing so, he spun it down to the inside, smacked the inside retaining wall. He will negate coming to pit road, though. So Ewing remains on track for the moment. That was a single car accident, so no caution. And we stay green, waiting for a ball to drop up at the front of the field. Now your top 3 all on top of each other. If a move is to be made shortly, and certainly as the 88 machine, you saw push off of the quarter, pushing, and the lack of that air getting into the front of the cars, taking a downforce away from the draft here, certainly an issue. most racetracks that we go to where draft is such a big factor, you don't have to worry about losing out on the entry to the quarter. It's a place like a Daytona or a Talladega. It becomes a little bit more of an issue when you go to places like Michigan and Fontana, certainly, but at those tracks, you've got a significant amount of banking to kind of push that car down and help it rotate, and where you could really see the 88 machine struggled on the exit of quarter number 3 not all that long ago. So that may be a challenge for Guerrilla to be able to catch up to Bowie, get to within 3 or so car lengths, and then get stuck. That's about how far Farinars has been off the back end of the 17 for a good amount of time as well. Dylan Jones dropping it back a little bit from 4th. Thought that maybe that 3-way battle for the race lead would have opened up an opportunity for him to close in, but I think that Brandon Bowie can just hit his marks, not pay too much attention to those drivers in the rear view mirror. I think he's in a pretty good spot at the moment. Looks like Guerrilla Farinars could have got their feet back underneath them, and they are going to try to close in again. Top 3 get within 0.4 of a second of each other. Nobody out of this race. All 17 cars on the grid have taken to the green flag in this race. Ewing with the heavy damage, though, still yet to pit. If he does come down for service, we will try to let you know ASAP. The 88, though, is there, and if you're Michael Guerrilla, you got to hope that the 88 wants to be a team player here. These drivers really have no reason to take it easy on one another, but if I'm Brandon Bowie, I want Farinars to go on the inside and fight with the 17 machine. Again, right now, the 88 is doing enough, so much that he's going to gain a little bit on Dylan Jones in points. Dylan Jones, again, out-qualified him, but they did swap out 4th and 3rd, so Farinars was able to pass him to get to where he sits right now. That one position, though, is not going to be enough to make up 8 points. So if I'm Guerrilla, I have to know Brandon Bowie is not going to want to roll over because he wants to be able to defend 3rd in the points. And the guy behind me is trying to take 1st in the championship away from Jones. So I don't think Guerrilla has a lot of reasons to be comfortable. I think he needs to make a move on the 43 before the 88 decides to go up and make a move on him. And the 88 is on the back bumper this time in turn number 4. A small peek to the inside. You can see those drivers not yet willing to commit to go all the way down to that apron or that rumble strip. It is on the corner that sometimes drivers use to help them rotate. If the incident out of the Shane Ewing camp is any indication, these cars are loose enough as is. And the longer you get into this race, the only looser they are going to become. Next time by, though, going to be 10 laps through of the 60 in this race already. It looks like when you're talking about a strategy situation, certainly a stop at the halfway point at lap 30. It seems to be what at least I would suggest would be the recommended service window. Although you could also see, again, cautions dependent on whatnot. Drivers maybe go on a couple of sets of 20-lap runs, but we continue to watch this battle for the race lead, and most people have sorted things out. Pass for position deeper in the pack as Austin Coop moves around Daniel Falkenham. That one is for 11th and 12th, but Trevin, I think in our best interest to keep our eyes up front. Your top 3 certainly pulling away, and it would appear at least that both Guerrilla Farinars have cars with enough speed to do something with Bowie. At this point, it just looks like a question of, do they want to make a move this early? And if they do, if they're able to get up there and execute, they've got close a couple of times, and the tail end out sideways that time. Guerrilla not holding anything back in the quarter number 2.
Yeah, and that's just a great job handling his car, knowing what he has right now. The 88 gonna dive it down deep. Andrew Farinars trying to get everything that he can out of Indianapolis Motor Speedway here. Michael Guerrilla holding on tough to that 2nd place position. Great job done by him here. And, you know, going down the front stretch, you know, you said it yourself. You know, you're going to be spending most of your time on these front stretches. So really, you're going to have to use that drive to your advantage and get into that turn better than the other car, because you're going to be going a little bit faster, and that's exactly what Andrew Farinars is doing right now, trying to dig deep into that number 17's back pocket to get something out of there. And, you know, these guys are doing a great job running away from the rest of the field, already pulling a 2nd on Dylan Jones. Dylan Jones not really looking like it's his night tonight. The 17 of Michael Guerrilla tags the wall again. That's going to leave a little bit of leeway to Andrew Farinars, Evan.
Yeah, just give him a tad bit of space, and In a situation, especially when you're talking about the names that we are, drivers who have had, plenty of success thus far on 2018, sometimes they kind of sit around and just wait for you to make that mistake, and that's when they proceed to actually go in there and make that move. So we'll see if that is going to be the case. The 88 certainly looking like he wants to make a move. He's 6-0 to the inside. The 17, a little bit of reaction to that move down a little bit to protect that lane. I don't think Freitas was going to send it into the corner regardless, but if you're the 88 machine taking the attention to the 17 away for the race leader and back to you, I think certainly puts you in a very good spot. And again, that's exactly what Brandon Abui wants. Your pole sitter has led all the way so far. Again, if you just get it in, no cautions. And the early going from Indianapolis, lap 13 of 60 in the works in this segment to final race. And he really threw it in deep that time. That's really going to hurt Freitas on exit, though.
Yeah, and again, you're just trying to get everything that you can. You're getting a great draft. You're feeling your car suck up a little bit better. And here comes the number 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. That is a lap down machine. He got into the pits, got fresh tires, and now you can see the difference on how tires are for these machines here at this kind of a track, just trying to deal with everything that they can. And we'll see how he works with the number 17. Gets so close to that back bumper of Michael Guerrilla. Now is going to do Brandon Bowie as well. Evan, just look at those tires and how much better they are compared to 14 lap old tires. Michael Guerrilla really having trouble with this turn number 2.
Yeah, the Nani machine makes quick work of the rest of the competitors as he came down to the pit lane at lap number 10. The Nani did have some damage, so curious if that was the decision or if it is, some sort of big throw on the strategy for the Nani, but Eberhardt and Morano. So Morano as well in number 48, the only drivers who have come down to the pit lane to get both of them pitted right at about laps 10, crossed it over to lap number 11. So it doesn't seem like it would be a decision when you're talking about, trying to split your fuel runs up, but certainly the fact that 2 cars came into that point could be a decision to maybe pit very early on and to go for a long run to the end of this race. We'll see how it pays out. They certainly have a big tire advantage at the moment, which plays into their favor. Morano is running significantly behind Eberhardt, who you saw unlap himself. Morano is only about a quarter of the racetrack in front of Eberhardt, which ends up being 3/4 of the racetrack behind him, still a lap down. So we'll try to follow that as best as we can, but a major plays up front. Big battle back in the pack. Daniel Falkenham in the 1 trying to get around Austin Coop in the 6. The 1 pushes high, and it'll be a crossover back down low. Coop takes the spot back. A 4-way battle, nearly 8 seconds behind your race leaders. Some of the best stuff on track.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are going tooth and nail. Everything that they got. Austin Coop leading this 4-car battle at the moment. Across the stripe they go for lap number 16. We'll see who takes advantage of who going into turn number 1. Everybody single file still. The number 1 having a little bit of trouble. Kyle Kammer catching up to Daniel Falkingham and still pushing to every inch of this track. You get down into that grass just a little bit, Evan. You've seen it done before, and I'm sure we'll see it again. You get a little bit into that grass, and you're going around. The number 8 of Kyle Kammer trying to get side by side before that turn number 3. We'll see who gets the better edge into this corner, as the number 8 does. He's going to get to that bottom side of that number 1 machine, trying to get everything that he can, and into the short chute he goes. He clears him. That will be for position number 11, Evan.
The 8 does get up and around Falkenham, so Falkenham falls to 12th as the 8 wins out in that battle that you mentioned is for 11th, and something tells me we are far from over with seeing that be the case. And to the point that I made a little bit earlier in this race, Trevin, talking about the draft, we are seeing packs form, and it's not your 2x2 packs that you would see at a plate track. As the 43 of Bowie makes a little bit of a mistake in a 2 that time, and he was concerned as he went way low to make sure the 17 didn't get much of a pull off of him. But we've been talking a lot about the battle between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. You look back at the number 78 machine, Troy Haight now coming off of the pit lane. He just now completed service also at lap number 15. Some of the other driver making a strategy play, but 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are all in a group. Then you look back, you'll find David Comstock at 5th, Sean Casto 6th, Dave Washington 7th, They can't really get away from each other. And then that group 9th through 12th that we had been following with Coop, Reagan, Decatur, and Falkenham, you're seeing groups of cars separate from other groups, but it seems like if you're running about equal speed to somebody you can't get away from them, that draft kind of keeps everybody on top of each other.
Yeah, and this draft is going to help them out so much here. Such a long track, 2.5-mile tracks. It's just amazing how they work with each other now. It's just great to see how they're all working. And David Washington going to go around Sean Casto for position number 6. Just doing a great job navigating around each other and doing such a great job. And it's only lap 18, and we're starting to see some strategy already between Troy Haight, Daniel Eberhardt, and just doing some great jobs with all of this. I'm really excited to see how this is all working out. They are all expecting, from what I can see with pit strategy already taking place, they're already expecting a green flag run to the end, and this very well could be green flag because, these guys are just running all their races, being very respectful, but I don't think that will last too long with only a 60-lap race.
Yeah, at some point in any of those groups, you're going to get to the point where a pit stop is upcoming. Certainly it could be something as simple as, well, I'm going to go for an undercut, pit a little bit earlier. That's going to be, my strategy play. Or it's I want to complete this pass before I pit. The car in front may say, I want to pit before I get past. And I think that's what the majority of the cars on track are thinking right now. Again, for all of the drivers and a good handful of the teams in here, they've got people up on the spotter stand and as well people from the team acting as crew chiefs that they're actively on the radio with, discussing all of these different strategy options with. I think that those are some of the ideas that are running through everybody's head, at least at this point. But the next time around, as we stay with 15 cars on the lead lap, again, having seen Eberhardt, Moreno, and Haight pit, Eberhardt, the only of those 3 drivers who has been able to get back to the lead lap in this one, as Troy Haight has come back down to pit road with some damage. And it looks like that may be it for the 78 car, not behind the wall yet. But aside from that, rest of your race leaders have yet to pit. We're going to be 20 down, 40 to go from Indy. So if you are going for a 2-stopper, pits are going to be open for you this time. But again, I still think that drivers more so going for the 50-50.
Yeah, and strategy is a big part of every single race here at the RSR Cup Series level, and it's really cool to see what kind of drivers will do what week in, week out. You think one driver is going to do one thing, and then they completely blow your mind and do another and pull out a win. And we've seen that a lot with Dylan Jones and then Andrew Freenars as well. Both of them having 4 wins for Andrew Freenars and Dylan Jones having 5 respectively. These guys have done such a great job. Andrew Freenars going for the 5th win tonight. He's in contention. Dylan Jones a little bit further back, still a second back from that 3rd place. I'm sure he'd like a caution to catch back up and regroup, and since he knows how this track is going to act with a whole bunch of cars around him, I'm sure he'd like that second chance. But if we continue to go green, that gap is just going to get bigger and bigger, and especially with a track like this and trying to hold on to this car, because exit of turn 4 is very brutal, since I'm sure you as well have raced on this, but from my experience, just turn number 4, going to that checkered flag, it just seems so much harder than any other lap here. And, just keeping your head straight and trying not to get into that tunnel vision zone of just continuing to let off the gas, brake, and turn that wheel. Once you get complacent, it gets very bad for you very easily.
It does, and that's certainly a concern when you're racing for a numerous amount of green flag laps at a racetrack that takes a good amount of precision, like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a place that if you don't brake hard enough into the corner, it's not as simple as, well, I'm going to miss the exit. If you're pushing wide off, that right side of the car is going to be into the outside wall. Now, of course, the advantage with running the Cup cars here is it's not like an Indy 500. You don't touch the wall, your night's completely done. But we've been, for the amount, I guess, that we've been talking about, the aerodynamics, the word I'm looking for in these cars. Any damage, any small mistake, not something that I would recommend. And your top 3 have been no more than at any point in this race, as you see another car who's pitted to come on by. That's Richard Reagan Jr., as mentioned, with fresh tires. Going to come up by on the inside. Your top 3 at no point in this race have been further than about an 8/10 or 9/10, I think, was the most Freenars was behind. And again, that's because he started 4th behind Jones. past him, and there's a significant speed difference between those two, which bodes very well for Farinars, who's trying to make some noise in the points here. But if Dylan Jones continues to be significantly faster than a fifth on back, P4 is going to be more than enough for the 11 car to lock up that Segment 2 title.
Yeah, and and it just goes along with, he's already got 5 wins under his belt. He swept the month of January, I believe it was, and just such a great job. Persistence is really what he needs from this series. So it's everything that you could ever want from Dylan Jones, and I'm sure he's just logging laps back there, knowing that he has a certain number that he has to meet to claim that Segment 2 championship, and he just wants to keep it. He's trying to ride easy and just continue to stay in that 4th place position and having to defend these guys back, but it's about 4 seconds back from 4th to 5th, so I think he's got a little bit of room. I'm sure he'd like to go for that win, but if he stays in 4th, he'd be just as happy.
Yeah, at this point, again, it's going to come down to what locks it up, and Dylan Jones has had such a good segment. It all kicked off at Chicago. He then went on to win 5 of the next 6 races. Only Farinars interrupted him after Jones had won at Chicago, Daytona, Kentucky, and New Hampshire. Farinars busted in with a win at Pocono. Dylan Jones then won at Watkins Glen. And of course, Farinars winning a week ago from Darlington. It has very much been a back and forth. The last time we saw a first-time winner was Jones in Chicago. Then the first time he had won all year and then went on an absolute tear. But those two drivers, top 2 in the Segment 2 championship standings, have won every single of the last 7 races. We have not seen somebody not named them win since June earlier this year. Brandon Bowie looking to crack that, has showed a lot of speed, has just missed out by that little bit on numerous occasions. Bowie does have a win from earlier this season, but it did not come in this segment. It was back at Richmond from round 7.
Yeah, and we're going to Richmond in a few weeks' time, so I'm sure we'd like to see how that works out for him as well. And, just still watching this 3-car battle up front, Andrew Freenars continues to pressure Michael Guerrilla. I believe what he's going to do is just continue to pressure him until he forces Michael Guerrilla into a mistake, maybe just messes up just a little bit, or is going to do a completely different pit strategy than him, because we've seen it happen before where you just duck out of line, get a different pit strategy going in, because we're about to get to halfway, Evan, and just completely do something different to shake up the whole entire field, and then you come out of nowhere after that next pit stop and claim this victory. It'd be a great job done by Andrew Freenars or anybody who does that, but really I think it's what it's going to come down to is pit strategy, because these guys are having a little bit of a tough time to getting around each other, especially these top 3 people.
And unless you get a caution flag, I don't see somebody else coming into the picture and being significantly better than a Bowie, Guerrilla, Freenars. Now, of course, Dylan Jones has been faster the last couple of laps, and all of those drivers in front of him from 4th. That gap is still 1.7 seconds, but if it's something as simple as an undercut, if we do see all of your race leaders decide to come down to the pit lane, again, we've seen some drivers pit very early in this one, going for a long run to the end. Nothing says that your leaders have to pit at the midway point. It would just make sense if a pit stop is in the cards. Even something as simple, Trevin, as a 1 or 2 lap undercut could be huge here. You talk about the tire fall off. That's something that we always look at to kind of get a good grip on what drivers are going to do strategy-wise. Well, Brandon Bowie's last lap was a 54.3. His fastest was a 50.5. So that's nearly 3 seconds of fall off. You get fresh tires 1 lap before somebody that could easily cover a 1.7 second spread.
Yeah, and we saw that exactly happen with Daniel Eberhardt. You saw how fast he went through positions 3rd through 1st in about a turn and a half. That was a great job done by him, maneuvering through all these top 3 people without incident. And, you just saw the difference of tires that it really made for him. He's all the way up to 13th right now. We'll see how it all works out. The 17, diving all the way down to the bottom, going back up to block the number 88 of Andrew Freenars. Andrew Freenars now side by side into turn number 3, going into the short chute. We'll see what happens. Maybe contact. No, they will keep it off each other going into turn number 4. This is very exciting going to halfway here, Evan.
Yeah, the 88 got awfully tight, and Bowie's going to use that as a smoke screen. Your race leader is going to come down to pit road. Well, the 17 and the 88 fight. Guerrilla trying to block the racetrack as Farinars looks for a way through. It was nothing short of a miracle that when that 88 pushed up in 3, they did not take each other out, and that battle for second now becomes the battle for the race lead. I like the call from your pole sitter to go for the undercut. Basically taking away that kind of a move from anybody else to try it on him. He'll now be in a very good position coming out of pit road. And the question is, does Guerrilla, Farinars, or Jones, who now run 1, 2, and 3 respectively, do they respond and come in this time?
If I were them, I would, or at least one of them. You know, you're right close next to each other. It's going to be very difficult to see. Yes, it looks like the 17 will go into the pit lane, and Andrew Farinars will take that lead, and we'll see how this all works out coming after halfway here, Evan.
Jones stays out. As you mentioned, it is Guerrilla who is in. And we're going to see, again, assuming that it plays out like we would expect, Guerrilla is going to lose out in that fight to the driver who beats him to the undercut and all of that, and Brandon Bowie, and we'll wait to see. If I'm Dylan Jones, though, Jones has been faster than your top 3, very much so in the last 10 laps. That gap that was 2 seconds, Trevin's now only a second, albeit 2 of those top 3 cars had pitted, but still, he has closed in a good bit on Farinars. If I'm Jones, maybe pit this time right at the halfway point, and it looks like the 11 may be the best car on that very long run. If that's the case, you split this race in half. Maybe you make a play late. He'll stay out once more. And again, he's given up a lot of time now. You need to find a balance, though, because when he pits, he'll then be the fastest car on track. So he's doing the math to figure out when you've given up enough to the point where you think the advantage is going to work back around in your favor.
Yeah, and it's going to be really exciting to see how this all works out for everybody right now. The number 6 Austin Cooper lap down. Just look at how different, or how the difference of a tire makes here, just blowing by him on the back straightaway right now. Andrew Farinars needs to come in pretty soon here, or else he's going to continue to lose time, because right now both drivers are back on track, I believe. So Michael Guerrilla currently on that front stretch. So we'll have to see how this all works out. You know, it's really exciting to see everything happen here tonight. Brandon Bowie starting in the pole position down to 8th right now. So, you know, this is a track that will challenge everybody. You know, it's really cool to see this. And, you know, Brian Chambliss started 16th, and now he's up to 5th. It doesn't matter if you had a bad qualifying time. It matters if you can run better in traffic and have a better strategy.
And look how good Dylan Jones was onto the entry of pit road. That gap that we were talking about being a second, Andrew Farinars was very timid onto pit road, and the 11 basically drove all the way to his back bumper, and a little bit of miscommunication coming down to pit road. Farinars' stall was before that of Jones, and Jones tried to pass him on the inside, saw it at the last moment, looked like, dove back up and around. It is an awkward entry, but the 11 did make it into the box. Race off to the pit road in favor of Farinars, and he's going to be able to put the gas down on the exit before that number 11 machine is, who was restricted by the pit road speed limit just a little bit longer. But what you miss out on all of this is that Brandon Bowie is already headed on the back straightaway, miles in front of the rest of those drivers who waited much longer to come down.
Yeah, and now coming down pit road, Mr. Save of the Year himself, Michael Cozy Jr. The 77 led all but one lap here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so he's going to come down pit road, and that will hand the lead off to Kyle Kammer, still having to pit. We'll see when he comes down. Brian Chambliss second, Daniel Falkingham third, as of right now, as the pit cycles will continue to go through. And, you know, this is kind of jumbled up right now, but once everybody goes through, we will have our full field back to the way it was and see who leapfrogged who at the end of this thing.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that midway race break until everybody's pitted again. Still waiting. Kamer, who is first now after starting 15th. Brian Chambliss now second after starting 16th. But like a Daniel Falkenham has gained 7 spots by staying out. Cozy in P4, just now exiting the pit lane. Thought maybe the 77 would have gone for it. He's in a very comfortable position when it comes to the overall championship standings, and when it comes to the segment 2 points, he does still need to be concerned about Guerrilla maybe passing him up, although if you lose 5th or if you lose 4th to 5th in the points, doesn't make a difference. The points payouts and the cash payouts for the championship is only 1st through 3rd, so I thought maybe Cozy would stay out, try to get a yellow and maybe luck his way into a little bit of extra, try to, just mix it up for the sake of rolling the dice. But he does decide to come down to the pit lane, and again, these drivers not going to be able to go all the way without pitting, so you will see the rest of those cars who have stayed out be down and into the pit lane very soon. But it is Brandon Bowie who, again, when that battle for second place started, dove down to pit road. Well, the cars behind him were busy fighting, used that as a smoke screen. He will cycle back to be your race leader as Kyle Kamer comes in this time.
Yeah, great job done by everybody here on these pit cycles. It's fantastic to see everybody, and Michael Gurley is still out here, and Brandon Bowie as well staying out, and it's really cool to see how these pit cycles will continue to play on or throughout the rest of the season, and see what people can do with adjustments, because we are, we've already been to most of these tracks that we see here for the rest of the schedule, so they know, what their plans are basically from what they have done, maybe do a little bit of review, see what they did wrong, and try to fix, because, playoffs are, everything that you can do to push yourself to that championship and claim the title of the RSR champion of 2018, and that's a title you'll hold forever, which will be pretty cool. So these drivers just trying to get everything that they can, and it's got to be so hard going back to back both difficult tracks here, some of the most difficult tracks on the iRacing service that we have, Darlington and Indianapolis, back to back. That's got to be so challenging on these drivers, Evan.
Yeah, certainly a lot of practice, I'm sure, has gone in the last little bit. They'll enjoy their off week before the start of the next segment. Next race out from Las Vegas to kick off the playoffs comes on September the 17th. So they'll use that time to debrief a little bit, relax, and not to take anything away from a very fun 1.5 miler in Vegas, but certainly a racetrack that if you've been on the sim for a good amount of time takes a lot less practice and preparation maybe than a place like an Indianapolis or a Darlington, and a couple of positions still to be sorted out, but as Brandon Bowie has regained control of this race at lap number 36, let's take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, and so many more. At lap number 37, your pole sitter, Brandon Bowie, is your race leader by 2 seconds in front of Michael Guerrilla. Guerrilla pitted after the 43, though, is a little bit faster, with the 43 not by any means in the clear. Then a little bit of a gap back to Andrew Ferdinand, who sits in third. David Comstock has picked up a spot, passing Dylan Jones through the cycle of pit service. Again, Jones pitted later than Comstock. He's faster, so that's not decided. But again, still something to keep an eye on as Jones rounds out your top 5. Sean Casto, exactly where he started, scored in the number 6 spot right now. David Washington of a handful of spots in 7. In fact, he is going to take away P6 from Casto in just a moment. Richard Reagan Jr. in the number 8 position. Michael Cozy Jr. 9th, and Austin Coop rounds out your top 10.
P11 will go to Kyle Kamer. P12, starting 10th and losing 2 positions so far, will be Daniel Falkingham. P number 13, starting 16th and coming up 3 spots, will be Brian Chambliss. Daniel Eberhardt, the man that we saw on the move earlier, has dropped all the way down to the last car on the lead lap, and P number 14. P number 15 will go to Shane Ewing. He is currently 1 lap down. Tom Morano, 2 laps down currently, and riding in P16. P17th will go to Troy Haight, and 21 laps down, Evan.
Yeah, Haight's still not officially out of this race. That car stopped onto pit road, but for all intent and purposes, his night is over with. That's been a look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today And I promise you, there is no time better than now. If you go to iRacing.com/membership, you can get up to 40% off a new iRacing membership. And you win from a 3-month subscription to up to 2 years. And of course, new iRacing build is coming out tomorrow, or in this week, I should say, and it'll also mean the introduction of the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Camaro ZL1. So I'm sure the hosted session is going to be plenty of busy. If you enjoy that car and you want to get on the service, more information is at iRacing.com/membership. Battle is on between Comstock and Jones made that pass. So just as we suspected, the 11 stayed out. Trevin gave up time, but now has the benefit of the tires. He'll move back into P4. So we kind of hit the reset button. If he's able to get up to Frenars in third, that would then kind of completely swap things around. But right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, back to where they were not all that long ago in a battle between the 17 and the 88. Guerrilla tried to block Frenars all the way to the apron in the short chute, and the 88 is going to push his way through, and he's got the spot. That fight goes all the way back to before the pit stops, and finally the 88 has done it.
Yeah, absolutely right, Evan. Persistence really plays on for these guys, and it just great job done by the 88 of Andrew Frenars, knowing when to take advantage of Michael Guerrilla, stalking him, seeing what kind of turn he was worse in than himself. So he saw the opportunity there, and he absolutely took it. Great job done by Andrew Frenars. We'll see how far he can run away with it, or if Michael Guerrilla will be able to catch back up to him after a run is done. We have 20 laps here to go. Evan, does not seem like a long time, and it isn't. Probably have another 20 minutes of racing, so these guys need to factor that into their heads and knowing that they do not have that long to go.
Inside of 20 laps to go, we see the pit stops come when we thought a majority of them would. That was at the halfway point in this 60-lapper from Indianapolis, which again, you say 60, doesn't sound like that much distance, but this driver's still racing for 150 miles this evening. And again, so far, no cautions. Clean all the way. There was an early incident with Shane Ewing, who wrecked it at turn number 2, got into the inside wall. It did not trigger a caution flag, and he never even pitted immediately to respond to the damage. He's since stayed out, probably got some of it fixed when he came in for his routine stop, but Ewing does end up falling to 14th right now. He's the first car off of the lead lap with 13 cars scored on that position, and he's kind of looking through some of the intervals, waiting for maybe some late race decisions to be made. Kyle Kamer just passed Austin Coop for 9th position. Kamer to 9th, Coop falls to 10th. And just looking at the intervals, P2 still half a second quicker than Brandon Bowie per lap, but he has made a couple of mistakes. So now that Frenars, though, is broken free of Michael Guerrilla, he's really stretched it out. Curious if the 88's not going to be able to get there in time because he waited a little bit too long to finally make that move.
Yeah, it's all about how fast these cars can move right now. Obviously, we only had one pit stop to go through. Some guys split in half, some guys came before halfway. So, it's really all that matters right now is just conserving those tires and making sure you have something better than your opponent here. And, trying to track down Brandon Bowie. He's about a little more than a second and a half in front of Andrew Frenars. We'll continue to watch the intervals go up or down when they cross that start-finish line, but it's going to be hard to see him catch up if he continues to fall off a little bit more. Andrew Frenars needs to continue to press on, but not burn off those tires as much as Brandon Bowie is, and I'm sure Brandon Bowie probably wants to slow down a little bit and conserve those tires just in case Andrew Frenars does get to his back bumper, because we know for a fact from this series Andrew Frenars is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, the 43 is going to make a decision. Do I push now, try to get space, or do I try to take it a little bit easy so that I've got something left underneath me By the time that he does catch me, I can promise that a battle for the race lead not all that far on the horizon. It is only 1.5 seconds between first and second as of that last time by. As we prepare to see what Freitas has, it's a good opportunity to remind you and say a big thanks to our friends over at English Auto LLC for making Monday nights possible for the Real Sim Racing Cup Series. English Auto LLC is a full-service luxury automobile repair center in Odenton, Maryland that is conveniently located to serve both the Baltimore and DC markets. English Auto specializes in Jaguar, Land Rover, Mercedes, Volvo, and BMW service. Founded in 2007, English Auto is now in its 11th year of business, and with a staff that has over 60 years of combined experience in the automotive service industry, English Auto has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. For more information, you can visit them online at www.englishauto.us, and to keep up to date with them through social media by liking them on Facebook at facebook.com/English Auto and following them on Twitter at English Auto LLC. Big support of Monday nights and the title sponsor of the Volt Auto Real Sim Racing Cup Series, powered by English Auto. The gap now 1.2 seconds. Trevin seems to be at about 0.3 per lap. Without a yellow and without the 88 really maybe having a big slide, flat spot in those tires, eating him up. Bowie's not looking pretty good right now, as again, he tries to be the first race winner since earlier this year in the middle of June. Not named Dylan Jones or Andrew Freitas. The 43 has come oh so close several times. Again, won one race earlier this year in Richmond, but has not won since then, and it would be big for the 43 to be able to get this one before the start of the playoffs, but Freitas looking really good right now.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and it's got to be hard for Dylan Jones to see him just pull away, and Dylan Jones needs to continue to press on, keep that fourth place position to his advantage, and hope that Andrew Freitas doesn't go up to that first place position, because he is catching him slowly but surely. Hopefully, I'm sure Dylan Jones would love to see himself get in front of the 17 of Michael Gurley to try and track down Andrew Freitas, but with about 10 laps to go coming up, it's going to get a little bit tight, and I'm sure Dylan Jones is hoping for a caution to come out and, just re-rack and try and get a better jump on Andrew Freitas.
And we'll see if maybe that does end up being the case, but it certainly looks like with the spacing now, we no longer have those 3 to 4 car packs that we had been talking about earlier in this race. The 46 of Richard Reagan is going to pass your race leaders. He's got some fresh tires after pitting much earlier on in this race. He went for the two-stop strategy. He just recently pitted at lap 40. He was one of those drivers that came in around lap 15, so he goes for the two-stopper, and he's trying to figure out how to pass these top two without slowing the 88 down in the process. The 46 is definitely faster. If I'm Freitas, I just want him to get by me, and it looks like it's going to happen this time. The 88's going to leave the inside open, and it will allow that lapped car to get on through. Kind of the opposite of what you would expect, Trevor. Normally you're working around the lap traffic. This time you want that lapped car to get around you, and it's really going to bother the 88 this time at a quarter. He was hoping that 46 cleared him at the time they got to this point, so it's going to kill his momentum, but he has closed in closer to the back of the 43. Now we'll see how Reagan gets around Bowie.
Yeah, and, trying everything that he can, it's amazing to see these guys press on, and just one car in front of him separating these two guys, the 46, Reagan just trying to stay out of the way, obviously, but trying to get his lap back because, it's hard to go a lap down. He's still fighting on, which is amazing to see, but again, at the same time, the 88 is trying to get around Reagan right now, and, you hate to see that lap car in front of you in your driving line right now, trying to go side by side with Brandon Bowie. I'm sure now Andrew Freitas is liking the way he's driving because that's going to give him a little bit more extra time, and it does. That's going to open up the bottom for Andrew Freitas. No, he does not. Brandon Bowie's going to close the door, back down. Wow, what a move.
Yeah, it was a conscious decision by racer Brandon Bowie. He did not want to stay on the outside of the 46. He wanted to get down in line and protect so that 88 could not slot up on the inside of him. And the 46 of Reagan does get on by. He'll rejoin the lead lap. We now are back to having 14 of the 17 cars who started this race being scored on the lead lap. this time by 49 down, 11 laps to go, but it could be the lap in which we see the battle for the race lead because Farinars is there on the bumper at a turn number 4 as he looks to the inside. Does he go for the move this time? The 43 doesn't throw a block. He tries to creep up on the inside. Expect them to go side by side into turn number 1. It's the first battle for the race lead we've seen all night. They're almost onto each other as they lean out of corner number 2. The 88 working with limited space on the inside, and Bowie not gonna give an inch as he somehow defends.
What a great job done by Andrew Freenars working with what he got. Brandon Bowie pinched him down all the way to the curbing, and Andrew Freenars was still there, still holding on to that near sideways race car. Great job done by him tonight. The 43 of Brandon Bowie still keeping that lead. Richard Reagan Jr. really kicked that all off, and what a race this is gonna be for, the finish and coming to 10 to go here at the line. Brandon Bowie now under pressure from Andrew Freenars and Dylan Jones trying to catch up 4 seconds back.
And what that tells me is Brandon Bowie's got a ton of confidence in Andrew Freenars. He didn't take his lot away, but he certainly didn't give the 88 machine any more than the width of that race car on the inside. He knew Freenars would be right on his door. And if you're not confident in the ability of the car on your inside, you are not squeezing somebody down like that. This is not going to be a walk in the park, but Bowie might have scraped the wall that time into the corner. Freenars now knows that the 43 is not going to give him any extra space. Maybe the 88 considers a move to the outside of the racetrack, or he'll simply give it another go. Here comes another car on faster tires. Recently pitting Sean Casto has gotten fresh tires. He will now try to get back to the lead lap, but he's going to be here just as your race leaders are about to fight for position. The 67 hesitant, but he will go to the inside, and that'll slow Freenars down.
And he went all the way onto that curbing, which could have been a little bit dicey if he got sideways, in front of Andrew Freenars. Oh, he is so close to the back bumper of Brandon Bowie. It is kicking off here in the final 10 laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the back bumper of Brandon Bowie. He's definitely going to go to the inside this time by in turn number 3. He has the speed. No, he does not. I retract my statement. He's going to put a nose down there, though. Just great job done by all of these guys, getting really, really exciting here. And Dylan Jones, I'm sure, is loving this, trying to catch up to everything that he can, trying to dig so hard, but I just don't think he has the time to do it, Evan.
And Casto is certainly not comfortable in that position. Again, very hesitant to make a move at the inside of Bowie. Here comes Freenars with a big run. The 43 is going to go low to block as Bowie, I think, maybe slowed down a little bit to let the 67 go on by. Freenars came flying up to the back bumper. He's got the inside again, side by side for the race lead. The 88 all the way down onto the curbs as he slides at a turn number 2. And again, Brandon Bowie squeezes Freenars out of space and defends for the race lead. It's a battle that's been going on now for about 4 laps. I don't think there's any more lap traffic behind them that's going to be catching up. So it's just time for the top 2 to go mano-a-mano as he looks to the inside again. Not going to get the space as the 83 shuts the door. 7 more laps to go this time by.
It's only going to get more exciting as this race wears on. I told you, Evan, there's only a certain amount of laps that you can go without fighting it out. And here we go. Final 10 laps. The lap cars really are what kicked this off, and that's really the excitement of having everybody out on the track, whether it's lap cars or not. And this is exactly why I love this kind of series. Oh, both of them get into the wall. Brandon Bowie recovers quicker. Now Andrew Freenars needs to find a way around him. This is getting too exciting, Evan.
Yeah, the 43 may be caught looking in the mirror. He drove into the fence. Freenars followed him. Here comes the 88. He'll push a lot more high on the exit at corner number 3. And Bowie still holds his ground. Now into turn number 4. It should be easier for Bowie on the outside of the racetrack to get into the throttle. But it is the 88 machine pushing his way through, and at the start-finish line, new race leader. For the first time this evening, he slides up in front, and he has done it. Farinas to the race lead as now Bowie tries to mount a counter-strike.
We'll have to see how it all works out for him, and Brandon Bowie kind of loses a little bit of time trying to dive it in a little bit deep, but I think both of them have cooked their tires a little bit too much because now Brandon Bowie falling back after that turn. I saw both of them get a little bit of sideways, and now Brandon Bowie going out of my frame, so I believe that it's all going to be Andrew Farinas if he can hold on for just 5 more laps.
There was no doubt that Farinas was faster, and maybe aside from 4 or 5 laps in the middle of the pit cycle when we saw Bowie pit, and obviously other cars cycle through to the race lead, got some bonus points for leading laps, but for all intended purposes, Bowie's led every single lap of this race when we've been throughout, and again, it was Farinas who was so patient. He made an early race move on Dylan Jones, moved from 4th to 3rd, and then sat on the back bumper of Michael Guerrilla for so long, tried to make a move before the pit stops. It did not happen, and then a lot more impatient, if you will, after the stops, made that move to get finally into second. Once he was clear, he charged to the front of the field, and now he pulls away and leaves Brandon Bowie in the dust. And not only did he tip the cap to the 88 machine for making the impressive moves, not only Trevin to tip the cap to the 43 also, though, for doing as much as he could to defend while also not going from, good racing up front to getting dirty. We're going to take 4 laps to go, having seen a great battle for the race lead in this race.
Yeah, and that's, all this is going to shape up to was, you could see how fast Andrew Farinas was really catching Brandon Bowie, and then as soon as that lap car came in, and, it just all kicked everything off, and, it showed who saved their tires a little bit more, and it's exactly what I said. Andrew Farinas had to save his tires in order to get to that back bumper and make something happen, and that's exactly what he did. So, just a great job done by Andrew Farinas, and he's going to have himself a 5th win if he can pull this off. So both him and Dylan Jones will be tied for that most races won here in a season. So just great job done by all of these guys here tonight. It's a tough track to tame, challenging, and test everything that they have as a driver, and they went green all the way.
And if Bowie can hang on again, he's going to be in a very good position to hang on to 3rd in the points. You mentioned equaling each other on wins. Dylan Jones has 5. If Farinas were to win this, it would also be his 5th. That would tie them for the most as we head into the playoffs that start in 2 weeks' time. But the big thing is Farinas does not get the most laps led. So as far as the battle for the Segment 2 championship, which again into this evening, was an 8-point advantage for Dylan Jones, who sits in 3rd. Farinas going to win this race, going to be awfully close. I don't know if it's going to be enough for the 88 machine to have gotten it. He'll get a bonus point for leading a lap, which is more than Jones could be said. It's been a 4-point spread. He won't get the most laps led, so we'll wait to see what the official number will be. And we're going to find out not all that long from now. We're going to take 2 laps to go for Indianapolis. So far, caution-free. And if the yellow comes out between now and the white flag, don't matter. This race would end with that caution. Farinas running away now, a 2nd in front as he looks to go back-to-back.
Just a great job again. All I can say, taming the 2 toughest tracks on the sim, in my opinion, going from a unconventional oval, with 2 different kinds of turns that you had to adjust to every single time, to this square oval, trying to get everything that he can, and Andrew Farinas does such a great job. We've seen it here ever since he joined RSR, and, tip of the hat to Brandon Bowie, as you said, but just could not have the tires by the end of this thing.
And that's just not in the cards for Bowie with the strategy. He went for the undercut, and it certainly helped at that time. But I think it was a combination of that little bit of a difference on the tires in combination with, I think Farinas had a very good car. He was there when we look back on, as the white flag flies, we look back on those 3-way battles for the race lead before the pit stops. He was always sitting there in 3rd. He was the one pushing Guerrilla forwards in that battle against Bowie. Was patient with it, though, and you could eventually see that patience started to wear thin, got more aggressive as the night went on, and he'll head down the back straightaway for the final time with a 1.4-second lead to the car behind him, and plenty of space out in front. the next car in line that is not going to be a factor. We talked so much about Dylan Jones, who won 5 races in 6 weeks in the middle of this segment number 2. But Andrew Farinars is going to be so impressive as we come to the end of the segment. Not only is it going to be 2 wins in a row, but it'll be 3 of the last 4. Andrew Farinars winner at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And just an entertaining last 10 laps done by these guys. It was a green flag run all the way, and that's not easy to do, especially at a track like this, holding your car to yourself. And we only saw one problem with the driver. I believe that was Shane Ewing early on in this race, had a little bit of a spin coming off at turn number 2, and that's all we saw. So great job done by all these drivers. Congratulations to Andrew Farinars, really running his race and keeping those tires so he had something for the end.
Had something for the end, and it was a fantastic show for us to watch as Farinars goes to the win. And we talked about drivers that needed a good night. Your top 3 drivers in the points, not in the order that they finished, but Farinars, Bowie Jones, 1, 2, 3, should make up those top 3 points in the segment championship. We will wait on giving you official word on how the $300 segment 2 purse is going to be distributed amongst them. But Andrew Farinars has got some celebrating to do. He burns it down on the front straightaway. Your winner tonight from the Brickyard will take one opportunity to step aside. And when we come back, we'll go post-race and chat with them as the regular season draws to a close. You've been watching the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, powered by English Auto LLC on LSRTV and iRacing Live. The post-race show is back when we return to Indianapolis.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Once again, photo finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerritt at the line.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV, and it may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of LiveSimRacing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. And welcome back live to the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show. 20 down and 10 to go as segment 2 of the 2018 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, powered by English Auto LLC, has now drawn to a conclusion. We believe we know unofficially your segment champion. We will wait to see if we get official word before we step aside, but we'll go down trackside, join your top finishers in just a moment. And first, though, here's a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Andrew Freitas with the win. Brandon Bowie comes home second. Dylan Jones is third. They will all be trackside with us in a moment. And again, those will be your top 3. We don't know the official order at this moment. David Comstock comes home fourth. And Uncle Guerrilla slides on that second half of this race and ends up in P5 for the end of it all. David Washington only went forwards. He bumps up to P6. Cozy makes some noise. It ends up in P7 for this one. Kyle Kamer comes home in a number 8 position. It is a P9 result for Daniel Falkenham, and your top 10 is rounded out by the 21 of Brian Chambliss.
P11 will be Austin Coop. P5 or P12 will be Daniel Eberhardt. Sean Casto will be your last car on the lead lap, finishing 13th. P14 will go to Shane Ewing with 1 lap down. P15, Tom Morano. P16, Richard L. Reagan Jr. And P17, rounding out your 17 car field, Troy Hayde.
Gonna be a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. We go trackside and chat with the driver of the number 88 machine, and it is another trip to victory lane for Andrew Freitas. So go back to back, and as we said when he came across the line, it is going to be his 3rd in 4 races. Winner tonight from the Brickyard. As we're down with him now, Andrew, congratulations, another win. You knew that with that win a week ago and Dylan not having the best of nights that you gave yourself a fighting chance coming into this evening. All you could do, go out here, get the most points you could, and hope that it all fell the right way at the end of the day. And you accomplished the first step in that one. We don't know the official points, but it looks like the 11 was barely able to hang on. But it is another great run for you when it mattered the most. Tell us about it.
Yeah, first off, I wanted to say sorry to Michael Gurley. I was kind of mad at him during the race, but it was I was in the wrong there when it came by on new tires. I was not there, and I did dive it in, so I got to apologize to him for that. But man, what a race! That must have been a lot of fun to watch. You know, we were 3 cars sitting there in a line. It was really, really hard to pass. I felt like we might have had a better car there than Bowie, even on the first run before pit stops. But it was just near impossible to pass, and you know, we had to do something different, so we pitted later there, and the tire strategy came out. As far as the points, wherever we came out. I know the points are a little messed up after Pocono. I think we should have had 5 more. Not really sure how that worked out, but whatever the case, we had a really, really good segment. Good to get another win before the playoffs here.
And you talk about that battle between the top 3. Obviously, that split up once we saw the pit stops. Brandon pitted as you were engaged in a fight there with Michael for the what was second and third, then become the battle for the race lead. Did you feel like the fact that he pitted earlier and therefore when you pitted you had better tires on that last run? Do you think that's what allowed you, once you made the move for P2, to catch him? Or to go back to what you just mentioned, did you feel like that it was just a matter of time if you could get some space and if you could get your way around into P2, that you did feel like if you had some real estate to work with that you had the speed in the 88 to get it done all night?
I think we did have more speed than them. Guerrilla was backing up 3 a lot more than us, which really limited my how fast I could drive the car. And once I knew that I didn't have the speed flat out, so I needed 2-lap fresher tires, and that's what we ended up doing. Bowie there pitted, I think, 4 laps before us, which I really thought was not the right move. Especially, I ran a fixed here all last week, and 2-lap fresher tires are huge here, and I think you saw that half enough 4. So that's really what our plan was. I knew I couldn't get around and just flat out, so we needed to do something different, and tire strategy is what we did, and it worked out.
And of course, if it doesn't work out for the number 1 position, at least in the segment championship, I know to be able to get these wins, Pocono, Darlington, Indianapolis, that it sets you guys up in a great position headed into the playoffs. 10 more weeks, but the real prize is on the line now. What kind of solace can you take into being so good after, we spent a month or so talking about Dylan Jones this, Dylan Jones that, how good he was in all those races he won, for you to be able to come back and make some noise and kind of make a statement as we get set for some of the real action?
Yeah, I mean, every time he won, I felt like we were either second or third, or had a good car and just got passed or made a mistake. So we're trying to clean up the little stuff, the little mistakes, get a little more speed. Nothing against, Dylan is fast every single week, and it's a big deal to beat him. I know he's having internet problems, or you probably would have seen him out front as well tonight. So it's definitely good to win 3 out of 4. I felt like we could add 4 out of 4 if I didn't mess up the bus stop at Watkins Glen, but that's a that's a story for another day. Good to have it now that the real fun begins, I think, and we'll see what we can do for these playoffs.
You guys were safe by a lot as far as qualifying into the playoffs to begin with coming into tonight. But now that it's official, there's a lot of interesting things that are going to happen in these next 10 weeks. Some interesting races. We'll have heats implemented at Richmond in a few weeks' time. The Roval's on the calendar, of course. The plate track in there with Talladega, the short tracks, everything that comes with the playoffs. What is the expectation for the 88 team now that the playoffs are beginning?
Really, we're going to just wipe it clean and come out and try to run good every week. We're going to practice a little more than we have. I think we've been putting extra work in these past few weeks, and it's paid off. So, putting a little more, and we're just going to go into every race just trying to get a top 5 or a top 3. And if we can pick up wins, we can, but we got to approach it just trying to get clean runs, because if you wreck in these, then you got to come out and win. So we're just looking, one person's going to get in the final 4 on points, and I think we want us to be that. If we pick up a win, then great, but you just got to focus on solid runs now, maybe not take as many chances as you could here, and that's how we're approaching it.
We look forward to see how it all plays out. We will let you get out of here. Enjoy your off week before the playoffs to begin. Before we let you jet, though, Andrew, anybody want to say hi to down from Victory Lane?
I want to say a happy belated birthday to Dave Washington. His birthday was on Saturday, so happy birthday to him. Everybody on Aegis, Dylan, Kyle, Eric, Dave said before, Daniel, Andy for putting the paint on, everybody over there. You guys for broadcasting and admitting. You guys do a great job every week. Love watching it back. All the fans for watching. I hope put on a good show. I thought it was a lot of fun in that car, so I hope it's fun to watch. And all the drivers are coming out. I love racing against these guys. And again, I need to apologize to Michael there for the bonehead move I made.
We appreciate your time, and we also appreciate your support of the series. Andrew, thanks for chatting with us again. Congratulations on the win, and best of luck as we get to the playoffs. Hopefully we'll have a chance to see much of that 88 machine as the rest of the season plays on.
Thanks so much, Evan. Look forward to it.
Race winner tonight from Indianapolis. Again, 5th for him on 2018. Brandon Bowie comes home in second position in this race, and for much of it, he was out in front. He can't get the W, so again, he'll have to settle for a P2, but it was a great night for the 43 team, and trackside with him is Trevin.
Down here with the number 43 machine of Brandon Bowie. Brandon, just talk us through those final 10 laps. It was the most eventful couple of laps here at IMS tonight. Unfortunately, you did not get that first place finish, but second place is oh so close.
Yeah, well, there's in order to finish first, you gotta have the right strategy. And I think, to say it nicely, I kind of stepped on my toe there. But yeah, I just made a bad call. I pitted early. I probably should have waited maybe a lap or two. I think that's where Faranos basically had me toward the end of the run. I did my best to try to hold him off. At one point, I hit the wall and kind of got back over a little bit, trying to block his, run off the corner a little bit, and pretty much gave it away. So, but second's not bad, but that means you're the first loser as well. So.
That's absolutely true. And, coming up into this first round after this bye week, first round, you got Las Vegas, Richmond, and Charlotte Roval. What track are you looking forward to most here in this first round?
Well, probably Vegas. That's usually one of my better tracks. I know that Charlotte Roval is going to be pretty much up in the air for a lot of people. With us not even having it on the service yet, it kind of prevents us from doing any testing. So yeah, I think Las Vegas is probably one of my best shots to possibly get a win there. But it's going to be hard, man. I mean, between Andrew and their whole team, I mean, it's difficult to even lead laps against them. So, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely right. And, before we let you go, any sponsored shout-outs? Who gets that 43 machine rolling?
Gotta thank RacingBids.com. Thanks to Jonathan. He's a great sponsor to have on the car. Go check them out. They are great for you want to post up some cars on NASCAR memorabilia you want to sell. You just want to take a look at some of the stuff that's up for sale. It's a great place. So go ahead and check them out. Also got to check out that. Got to thank Commodore's Garage as well. Another great sponsor to have them on board as well. They are great for basically telling you about how to build setups for iRacing across all different types of cars. So they're good as well. Got to thank family, Man Above, you guys for, of course, broadcasting the race. And got to thank my corporate teammates as well. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. That was number 43 of Brandon Bowie finishing second here tonight in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And now third down on pit lane will be Dylan Jones coming into tonight, the Segment 2 championship leader overall. Still waiting on official word for that. But Dylan, coming into tonight, knowing that you had to defend so hard, what was really your plan? Because this is only a 60-lap race, most likely just one pit stop, and that's what it turned out to be. So really, what was your strategy coming into tonight?
Well, our strategy kind of got blown up after the first couple laps. Obviously, the strategy was going here to win, but had a few technical difficulties there that kind of prevented us from battling for the win, or any spots for that matter, like we wanted to there.
Yeah, we saw how challenging this track was, and going back to back with two of the most hardest tracks on this iRacing service for this kind of series. Was it really challenging going from Darlington to a track like as such?
Well, I'm always been a fan of Indy, so that wasn't as much of a challenge as running Darlington for me. That's a track that usually bites me, but just being a fan of Indy, I ran here a lot during the week, putting in practice laps and stuff, so I had a good feel for the track. Just circumstances didn't work out for us.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the case. And, coming into this final race and now looking forward to these final couple of races that you have left on the calendar year, you still have a whole entire grab bag of races here to go. What are you really looking forward, and what are you really trying to get to propel yourself for more momentum going into the 2019 season?
Just keep running how we've been, contending for wins, getting the wins, staying out of trouble. And like my motto's been here the last multiple weeks is don't screw yourself. Take advantage of everyone else's mistakes, and I guess my mistake tonight was not paying the cable bill.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Dylan, sponsor shouts, who gets it done for that number 11 machine?
Just thank all the guys that work on Aegis and put in all the hard work together. Everyone at LSRTV for putting this all on.
All right, thank you, Dylan, and hope to talk to you next week or in 2 weeks' time at Las Vegas.
Yep, thanks.
And back to you.
Well, a big thanks, as always, to our top finishers for joining us here post-race. Again, Andrew Farinars with the win, Brandon Bowie second, and Dylan Jones in third. We do not have the official word, but again, just based on the finishing spots tonight, it does appear that Dylan Jones in third was good enough, despite those issues, that he should have been able to hang on, and he should be your Segment 2 champion. That is unofficial, and we will post those official point standings, of course, your playoff grid and all of that good stuff, on the LSRTV Twitter at LSRTV, also on our Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official as soon as we know, Trevin. So unofficially, looks like Dylan Jones gets the $150 for winning Segment 2. It would then be the $100 for your second place finisher. Farinars and Bowie easily defending third on top of Cozy would get $50. Again, all of that unofficial, but we say it with a good amount of confidence that we're pretty sure that's what the results are going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing our terrible math in our heads, that's really what you gotta assume. And just great job again done by all of these drivers in this segment too. The best of the best here tonight. As we were talking about, the strength of the field is 4,000 plus, and just such great competition all around. And we saw such great strategies play out. Some did not work out for others. But, they tried it and it didn't work out. Sometimes you're going to gamble and sometimes it's not going to work out, but you still press on. Way to handle every single car by all of these drivers on this tough track, especially at turn 4. At turn 2, we almost saw one car lose it. And what a great battle done by Andrew Freenars and Brandon Bowie.
You look back on some of the results we've seen at places like Watkins Glen and such, Trevin, we have really been in for a treat for what we have seen this series, so far this season. Some of the best finishes I think we've seen in recent memory here with RealSimRacing and the Cup Series. And if you meet the necessary requirements, and again, you want to be a part of it, Segment 3 registration going to be open in the next few days. You'll have 2 weeks to sign up. Of course, a lot of returning drivers going to be fighting for the overall championship. Now we turn our focus to the playoffs, Trevin. There is no more segment championship. It's the real deal. You thought $300 up for grabs for 10 races was going to be big. All your drivers are now fighting for a $1,000 purse for the next 10 weeks.
Yeah, and this is really when the fun starts. We have a handful of races to go and, just a whole bunch of different tracks. 10 races here to decide the winner of the 2018 season. And the Charlotte Roval is going to be an exciting one because nobody knows what that's going to be like. Nobody knows if we're going to get a different kind of track before that. But it's going to be an exciting race nonetheless. And, Talladega is always a track in the mix. Then we have Martinsville and always ending off at Homestead. So stick around, guys. This is the best part of the year. These next 10 weeks are going to be something to stay for.
And the good news is you're not going to have to wait 2 weeks until we are back. There's a triple header next week on LSRTV and iRacing Live. You can find our full schedule by going to our website at www.livesimracing.com. And as I said before, the best way to keep up to date with us is by following us on social media. We'll post the official standings when we know them over there. We'll also give you a quick sneak peek at your playoff grid in the next few days, and you can get all of that info and more by liking us at facebook.com/LSRTV official and by following us on Twitter at LSRTV. Until next time, though, on behalf of our entire team at RealSimRacing LLC, for the folks who make it happen on a night in and night out basis, for everybody who makes RSR possible, big thanks to Austin Coop, Kyle Barnes for putting these on a weekly basis, and of course, for your broadcast team tonight. For myself, Evan Pasoko, for Trevin Valderrama, and our producer, Cisco Scarlus, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Andrew Freenars on his win. Congratulate what should be Dylan Jones on a Segment 2 championship, and we'll congratulate all of our drivers who have advanced into the playoffs. This series will return in 2 weeks' time from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway on September the 17th. That race and every race as we go playoff racing in the RSR Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC can be found right here on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Until next time, though, good night from the Brickyard.